Hi, my name is Hilton Giesno, and in this video we're going to look a little bit at understanding Microsoft Windows Azure. Windows Azure represents Microsoft's offering for cloud-based computing. Now, what is cloud-based computing, you might be asking? Well, the truth is everybody seems to have their own slightly different definition of it, so I'm going to give you mine. The idea is you may have some great application, be it a website or a web service or some data, for example, and you want to make this available to your customers over the internet. However, while you're doing this, you want to make sure you're doing it in a way that's easier, faster, and cheaper than some traditional hosting options. At the same time, you don't want to compromise on your levels of scalability, reliability, and availability of your application. Making sure that you can rapidly scale up as your user base grows, and importantly, scale down when you need to as well. Making sure that it's running in a reliable and fault-tolerant manner so that if components of it go down, you can recover quickly and seamlessly, and making sure that it's always available when customers come calling. As an example, let's say you're a person with a great idea for a piece of software, and you spend a lot of time and energy building this exciting piece of software, and you want to take it from where it is right now and make it available to your customers. How do you go ahead and do that? Well, you're going to have to put an entire infrastructure in place. So you're going to have to learn about a few different ideas and technologies. Things like procurement, which means things like evaluating different vendors, understanding the different components of the hardware, things like CPU, memory, storage, RAID, implementing appropriate networking capabilities, things like load balancing, affinity, DNS, ensuring that you have the correct operating system, ensuring that you have the correct software on there as well, things for example like a web server or relational database services, going ahead and ensuring that you can achieve good scale by looking at things like clustering, making sure you've got security on there all the time, so you're looking at things like firewalls and ensuring you're DDoS safe. At the same time, you've got to make sure that the operating system and the software components you're using are regularly patched and up to date. You've got to make regular upgrades to your application and make sure these are seamless. And to keep all of this running, of course, you're looking at things like training for all of the staff that keeps this up and running. And at the same time, you need to do this across multiple environments because you may, for example, have development, testing, staging, and pre-production environments before you even get live out to the client. And on top of all this, you want to make sure that all of this is appropriately managed so that from the user's perspective, there's zero downtime to your application, because downtime means lost customers. Now, in order to keep all of this infrastructure up and running, you can see it's starting to get very complex, and we're talking about a lot of cost as well. And that's not just physical cost, that's a lot of opportunity cost of learning about and managing all of these different things. Time that could be much better spent on your application and its features. So this makes for a very unhappy business person who just started things off with a great idea. So let's get back to basics. You're a person with a great idea for a piece of software. And all you want to do is take that piece of software, package it up with a couple of instructions on how you want to make it available to your customers, and hand it over to some clever IT guy and have him manage all the complex stuff we saw a moment ago. Well, with Windows Azure, that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. We want Windows Azure to help be our clever IT guy. And in the Windows Azure world, that clever IT guy is called the Fabric Controller. And its job is to go ahead and take the instructions you gave in the form of a couple of lines of metadata and go and deploy that infrastructure out into Microsoft's data centers. What it does is it takes your package, it goes ahead and deploys multiple redundant copies of your application up into virtualized environments in the Microsoft data center. And the redundant copies mean that if one of these redundant copies does fail and it goes and freezes up the virtual infrastructure, the Fabric will go ahead and remove that virtual instance and automatically fire up another one for you. So you end up with an automatic fault-tolerant capability that keeps your application available with a very high uptime. In addition, if you want to go ahead and scale that out and provision a whole additional set of instances, you can go ahead and scale up or scale down by just going ahead and adjusting a couple of details in configuration. So just with a turn of a dial, you can scale your application very easily. Microsoft manages the patching and upgrading of all the components of your application. So the servers that it runs on, the operating system and its related components, get automatically and seamlessly upgraded across all of the different servers, maintaining your application's high uptime and seamlessly doing these kind of upgrades for you. You also have flexibility in terms of this infrastructure in how you go ahead and upgrade your application at the same time. But it goes a little bit further than this. In terms of hosting applications, there's a lot of different components of what that could mean. And Windows Azure covers a lot of different scenarios. So, for example, you may have web-style hosting, where you've got an ASP.NET or ASP.NET MVC application, for example, a set of WCF services, and even some non-Microsoft platform capabilities, like for example if you're using FastCGI to host a PHP website. In addition, outside of web hosting, we can look at things like complex application hosting in the form of application processing services. It also offers services like asynchronous message queuing capability. It offers relational database services in the form of Microsoft SQL Azure. It offers very large-scale non-relational tabular storage. It offers file storage. It offers blob storage and CDN capabilities. There's also internet-style service bus capabilities. And there's even claims-based access control services. So, as a business owner, you might be thinking, this sounds great, but what's the catch? I'm probably going to have to retrain all my developers and get new tools and hardware. But the great news is, the skills and tools we know and love already, things like ASP.NET, WCF, and Visual Studio, are all that we need to go ahead and get started developing applications for Windows Azure. The only thing you need in addition is to download the Azure SDK, which gives you a mini cloud right on your desktop to develop, debug, and enjoy much the same way that we're used to doing right now. Who wouldn't be happy to hear that? Now, we've just given an overview of some of the services and capabilities of understanding what Windows Azure provides. To find out more, go ahead and check out these great resources at the Microsoft Windows Azure site at www.windowsazure.com, and check out more great videos on this Channel 9 site at channel9.msdn.com/Azure. Now go get busy building some great cloud applications.